Hello, I am Dr. M. Bhaskara Rao. I am an associate professor in the ICFI Business School. Today we are going to start the course titled Foundations of Management and Entrepreneurship. Now, this is an introductory course for an undergraduate program, and what does it really cover? What is the objective of this course? What are the outcomes of this course? We are going to deal with this. Now, the course basically covers the essentials of management and organization and reviews all the material that is required for an introductory course at undergraduate program, that is the BBA program. Now, this course prepares you to understand the foundations and principles of management, understand the relationship of this course with various other courses that you will be studying in this program of BBA. You will gain competence to pass your examination whether you are a part of a university or a college, and at the end of this course you will be able to qualify and earn the required number of credit points for the program. Now, what are the objectives of this course? This course objectives are, it gives you learning the principles of learning of the management of organizations, which means you will get an understanding of how one can manage the organizations. It gives you the functions of management and what are the roles and responsibilities of managers. It gives you inputs on how do you plan for manpower, train them, develop the people, and then manage their performance. Then it also gives you the theories of motivation and how you can be an effective leader by motivating your employees. Since organizations are intended for certain outcomes, you should also learn as a part of this course what are the managerial control processes and the techniques that are involved in that. And finally, the objective of this course is also to drive the principles and the concepts of social entrepreneurship and the related theories. What are the outcomes of this course? Now, when you finish this course, you are expected to learn the practice of principles of management so that you are able to effectively manage the organizations which you are running. Now, this not only includes the organizations which we know in the urban parlance, it is also equally applicable to the rural enterprises. Now, you will be able to use and apply the techniques of planning and organizational decision making. You will be able to learn how do you staff your organization by planning for the human resources, recruitment and selection processes, then employee development, training and development, and to manage the performance of your own employees. Now, motivation of employees is a very important aspect of managing the organizations. Therefore, at the end of this course, you will be able to apply the theories of motivation and thus manage your organizations more effectively. Now, you will develop over a period of time by application and practice of these principles the leadership qualities of your own self and develop your own style of leadership. You will be able to review, provide feedback to your organization, and therefore you will be able to take some course corrections for your employees and the organization. Now, the intended objective and outcome of this course is to ignite a passion in you for being a social entrepreneur, which means you should become a job provider instead of being a job seeker. Now, the books which are recommended for study for this course include Principles of Management, written by Kuntz, Weyrich and Aryashri, Principles and Practice of Management by L.M. Prasad, and Principles and Practices of Management by Diwan. Now, these 3 books are the standard textbooks, but in addition to this, as we go along, I will also provide you some material which you can access through open public sources through the web, and some material will also be supplied to you through some soft copies. Now, that amount of material, the content that is being provided and the textbooks that are being recommended to you would suffice for you to acquire desired competence and also be able to qualify in your examination. The course is organized in 6 units. Now, what are the 6 units? The first unit deals with what is management. The second unit tells you about the functions of management. The third unit gives you the required tools, techniques and competence for staffing the organizations. Fourth unit provides you the theories and the practices of motivating the employees in the organization, and the fifth unit tells you about how do you monitor the performance of your organization and the employees, and how do you have the control processes and systems set up in the organization. And the last unit, which deals with entrepreneurship, tells you about the social enterprise and what are the theories related to social enterprise. The idea is that you should become a social entrepreneur, being interested in the rural management where there is enormous scope for social entrepreneurship. We hope that this gives you enough understanding to deal with social entrepreneurship and set up your own enterprise. Now, how much of effort is required to be able to qualify satisfactorily in this course? As I mentioned to you, this course is divided into 6 units, and each of these 6 units is delivered to you through video lectures, exercises and some material which you can read to enrich yourself. Now, each of these units will have 4 video lectures, and each video lecture is approximately about 30 minutes in duration, which means for each unit you will have a video of about 2 hours, and therefore for 6 units you will have 12 hours of video content. So, if you are able to spend 3 hours per week, if you are able to spend 3 hours per week and 4 weeks, you will be able to cover all the 12 hours, which means you will be able to complete this course over a period of 4 weeks by investing about 3 hours of time every week. In addition to that, depending on your appetite for acquiring knowledge, you have to spend enough time by reading the textbooks recommended or the content that is being provided to you. Now, you will also have to spend some time on answering the questions which are going to be provided to you through these video lectures at the end of each unit. If you are able to answer those questions, that will give you enough competence to be able to confidently answer the questions during your semester examinations. Now, having said that, now let us look at what is the beginning of the first unit. We are going to start the first unit titled What is Management. That is the lesson for today. Now, in this what is management unit, first lecture, we are going to deal with 4 dimensions of our subject. The first one is, let us understand what is the meaning, nature, scope and importance of management. The second important dimension of this particular chapter is learning about productivity and effectiveness in organizations. The third one is, you should understand whether management is a science or is an art or is it a profession or is it a combination of one or two or all of them. And the fourth one, which is equally important, is the universality of management. These are the 4 different dimensions that we are going to deal with in the first module or the first session. Now, let us understand what is the meaning of management. Now, management is a process of designing and maintaining an environment in which individuals working together in groups efficiently accomplish selected aims or goals of the organization. Now, as you know, every organization is set up for achieving a certain amount of goals, and who are interested in these goals? There are a set of stakeholders who want the organization or the enterprise to deliver those goals to them. The responsibility of management is to effectively and efficiently deliver these objectives so that the stakeholders are satisfied. Now, who are the various stakeholders? The stakeholders include the employees, its customers, its promoters, its bankers, its lenders, and various others who have a stake in the business of that. And mind you, the society in which the organization is functioning is also a stakeholder, and therefore an organization also has certain responsibility for the society in which it is existing. Now, let us look at the continuing with the meaning of management. Management applies to all kinds of organizations. It is not applied only in the large multinational or transnational organization. It is equally applied in smaller organizations. It applies to managers for all levels of the organization, that is, irrespective of whether you are a junior manager or a middle level manager or a senior manager, the principles of management equally apply to all the people in the organization. It aims to provide, create surpluses in the organization. The main purpose of setting up an enterprise is to create services and products. Now, why do you create services and products? Because you want to serve the society. By serving the society, you will also be able to generate or create some surplus for the promoters of the organization. Managing is concerned with productivity, which means because you are producing some goods or services, you should be able to effectively and efficiently use the resources which are at the disposal of the manager. Therefore, as a manager, you are responsible for maintaining an optimum utilization of the resources that are at your disposal. Now, let us look at what the 5 things that managers do. These are the basic functions of a manager, and every manager, irrespective of the nature of the organization, irrespective of the level of the manager, they are involved in some or the other way in these 5 things. The first one is planning. What is planning? The planning is basically from the perspective of the organization. You will be analyzing the environment in which the organization is functioning. Then you will make a forecast as to how the business is going to look like in the near future, in the short term, in the medium term, and in the longer term. Your organization, you will create a kind of a vision and a mission, and based on the vision and mission, you will create a set of goals and the objectives for the organization. Based on all this, the organization and as a manager, you will be responsible to develop a certain set of strategies for the effective delivery of the results for which your organization is set up. Now, having done this, you need to organize around these objectives and goals so that you can create an organizational structure, or you will architect the organization. Every organization over a period of time creates its own culture. A culture of an organization is unique to itself, and this organizational culture is created and driven by the managers and the leaders of the organization. Now, how do you do that? That we will see as we go along, but it is important to note that even if the same products are produced within the industry, multiple companies in the same industry will have different cultures, which means there is no unique culture which makes you successful. Every companies with diverse cultures can also be successful. Having done that, it is the responsibility of the manager to align the authority and responsibility in the organization so that the organization's functioning can be seamless and smooth. Now, the responsibility thereafter for the manager is to ensure that at all levels you got the right people at the right time so that the organizational functioning can be smooth. Therefore, staffing is the third important thing that all managers do. The next thing is that every manager in some way or the other has the responsibility of leading his teams. Therefore, leadership is the next responsibility that managers should develop, and the leaders are the people who are responsible for making decisions in the organization. Now, what is unique about managerial roles is managers make decisions whereas others may or may not. Therefore, the leaders or the managers are important constituents in the organization's running, where they make decisions for smooth functioning of the organization and for delivery of the organizational goals. The next responsibility of a manager is how do you keep your teams together, motivate them and make them to perform to their maximum potential or the best potential. The communication is an essential characteristic of good manager. Therefore, managers should be excellent at their communication skills, and they should be able to build teams around the task for which the organization is being run. Then the controlling, because having set the organization structure, having set the goals for the people, it's important for the managers to know whether you're going in the right direction, and that for that you need to set up systems and processes which will allow you to understand how the organization is moving, make course corrections, put it back on track if it is not going on track, and therefore you need to have ways and means by which you are able to measure the progress of the organization and then put things back into perspective. The responsibility of a manager beyond everything else is assembling the resources, more particularly the human resources. Therefore, you must be strategic in your approach for assembling the strategic human resources. Now, whether all the managers will do all these 5 different things that I have mentioned, it is not necessary that all the managers should do all this, but all managers at some point or the other will do all, and at a given point in time all managers will do at least one of these things. Therefore, these are the 5 important managerial activities. Now, coming to planning, planning is basically a first step in the management, and it drives the rest of the processes. Without having a plan, the organization does not know where it wants to go. Therefore, the manager should be well versed with the processes of planning and implementation. Then organizing is about executing the plans. Now, having made the plan, how do you convert your vision, mission and the goals into reality? The link is planning, and from there onwards you should be able to implement for achieving these goals. Now, planning tells you what you want to do and where and how you can organize so that you are able to reach there. Staffing will be determining the kind of people that you would like to employ in your organization, establish procedures for recruitment and selection, planning for meeting the learning and development of the employees of the organization, and performance evaluation, which means you want to drive the performance the way your organization wants, and compensation plans, as well as how do you look after your employees' welfare, making sure that your employees' demands in terms of their personal requirements and the demands on you from the organizational requirements are fully balanced. Leading basically involves getting others to help to execute your plans and work in the organization that you manage. Now, how do you actually, a leader's job or a manager's job is to enable others to perform their tasks so that collectively you are able to deliver the goals to your organization. Now, controlling is basically using the feedback to track your progress and keep your team and organizations together so that you will be able to move from one stage to the other stage in terms of achieving the organizational goals. Now, let's look at management as a process. Now, management, we have talked about, it's not an activity, it is a process, because you are responsible for certain kind of inputs. What are those inputs? These are called the 5 M's in a short form, which include manpower, materials, machinery, money and methods. These are the inputs or the resources. Now, using these resources, as a manager, the responsibility of manager is to plan, organize, staff and lead so that you are able to deliver the goods and services for which your organization is basically set up. Make your organization's productivity so that you are able to achieve the optimum levels of productivity and become competitive in the marketplace. Then your job is to make sure that your customers are satisfied, both the customers outside who are consumers of your product and also the internal customers who are your employees, because only when the employees are satisfied they will be able to deliver customer satisfaction for your organization. All this you will be working in an environment where you will create the systems and processes for controlling your activities so that everything works as per your plan. Now let's look at, having said all this, now let's understand what is the scope of management. Why is this management necessary and how this management is going to be a very, very important area for you. Now management is basically, it has got three dimensions in terms of the first as an economic resource, because as a manager you will be managing the 5 resources that I talked about as the 5 M's. Which are these things? The first one is money, material, manpower, machinery and methods. When you are managing resources, you will definitely have certain amount of responsibility, and coupled with that you will also have the authority. Now what is the key responsibility of the manager? He or she converts disorganized resources of men, materials, money and machines into productive, useful and ongoing enterprise. Now but for the manager and the manager class, you will not be able to see all these resources becoming useful products which are serving the needs of the customers. Now a manager also has certain amount of authority, which means as a manager you will be able to make rules and enforce them with your organization, because you would like the system to work for an eventual goal that you want to achieve. Now it is also important that you network with the people within the organization as well as outside the organization. Therefore you are a relationship builder so that your work can be effectively discharged. Now the roles of manager are well defined over a period of time. These are well evolved, and therefore the system of authority is also well established in this organization. Now what is interesting about manager class is that these people are considered to be a distinctive class or a set of elite people who have got their own value system. Managers are considered to be coveted people in the organization. They enjoy certain amount of respect. They also occupy positions of importance, and therefore there is certain amount of aura or clout around the managerial positions. Now what is the importance of management? Now having understood what is the scope of management, now let us understand why is this important. In fact, over the last 50 to 60 years, management has occupied a very, very important position in the organizational parlance. The reason is management is the driving force for an organization that gets things done through the human and other forms of resources. Now but for the management, it would not be easy for an organization to function effectively and convert value from raw materials to the output or the inputs to the output. Therefore the importance of the management can be understood from multiple perspectives. The first perspective is the optimum use of its resources. The question is, if different organizations are working in the same space producing similar kind of materials or similar kind of products, some organizations are more competitive than the others, which means the organization which has least of wastage or which avoids wastage of all kinds, whether it is men, material or time or whatever the resource, and ensures optimum utilization of the resources, will be most competitive. So therefore optimum use of resources is one important dimension of the management. The second one is you create the right climate. Now people are not the resources like money or the material or the machines. People have their own emotions, they are thinking, they are intellectuals, they have got their own emotions. So people with these emotions have to be managed to be able to perform to their optimum performance. Therefore your organization can remain competitive. So the responsibility of the manager also lies in creating the right organizational culture or the work environment or the climate, so that you are able to bring out the full potential and for ensuring that the employees will be able to perform in a superior way. Now, what is the meaning of superior way? They are able to produce the same product at a much lower cost than your competitors, so that you remain your organization enjoys the competitive advantage in the marketplace. Now, being an effective leader and being an effective motivator is the second importance of management. Now, make groups more effective and productive. How do you do that? By creating the right organizational climate, right kind of policies which will drive the performance of the people in the organization. Now, you will be able to guide and direct employees for the attainment of goals in a coordinated manner, which also requires application of certain principles of justice, ethics, and the related principles. Then create teamwork, and you have to motivate your employees. Now, let us look at what are the other things that the management does which creates this kind of an aura for its employees. The first one, the next one is establishment of sound employee relations. Now, unless people have very amicable relationship, it is not possible for people to work together. Therefore, the responsibility of management is to minimize the disputes among the workers or the employees and between the employees and the organization or the managers. Now, you will have to create sound industrial relationships so that the organization can work effectively. You will have to work towards creating work-life balance for your employees, so that the demands on the individuals versus the demands in the organizations are not at conflict with each other, and therefore the employee enjoys coming to the office and being a part of the organizational processes, which means your objective is to enhance the employee engagement so that you are able to get the best out of your employees. Now, effectively deal with employee dissatisfaction whenever there is a dissatisfaction because of the organizational rules, policies, guidelines, methods, procedures, performance appraisals, whatever may be the area of dissatisfaction. It is the responsibility of the manager to immediately address the reasons for the dissatisfaction, understand the employee grievance, and find out an amicable way to settle the disputes or the dissatisfaction in the employees. The next and the most important dimension of the importance of management is achievement of organizational goals. Managers are responsible for delivering what the organization intends to achieve. So, therefore, the goals of the organization are of paramount importance for the managers, and hence you must organize the resources, both human and non-human resources, in an appropriate way so that the organization can attain the goals it intends to achieve. Now, you are responsible for organizational goals, achievement of all these goals in an optimum way. Now, having understood the importance of management, let us understand the link between management and productivity. Now, what do we understand by the word productivity? Productivity is basically a ratio between the output volume and the volume of inputs, which means for the given inputs, if a certain organization can produce more amount of output without compromising on the quality, then the productivity of such an organization is higher. Now, the objective of the manager is to make sure the productivity remains high without compromising the quality of the product. Now, the productivity measures basically how efficiently the production inputs are being used to produce a given level of output. For instance, now let us take a pen. Now, if this pen is to be produced and it requires certain amount of materials, raw materials, maybe this requires certain amount of metal or a plastic, the ink and other ingredients, maybe some other rubber material. Now, for a given unit, you have to see how much of the materials are used, and for 1 unit of each of those raw materials, if you are able to produce higher number of pens, then your organization becomes more competitive than another organization producing pens of the same kind, in which case you will be able to offer your service or your product to the customers at a lower price than your competitor. Therefore, efficient use of production inputs is a very, very important dimension to improve the productivity. Now, it is the key source of growth for an organization, and therefore your organization can continue to enjoy the competitive advantage in the marketplace. Now, then what is the meaning of effectiveness, and is it different from the productivity part? Now, effectiveness is the extent to which an organization as a social system, given certain resources and means, fulfills its objectives without incapacitating its means and resources and without placing undue strain upon its members. Now, if the organization you are setting up, for example, you are going to set up a social enterprise to meet certain service requirements in the society, if you are able to meet the goal of the vision of your organization in a manner in which you are able to use your resources without incapacitating any one of them, then you are effective. It is not necessary that every organization remains effective. Some organizations which are not effective may not exist for a long time, and therefore you must make sure that your organization first remains very, very focused on the goals, and then you are able to maintain the internal and external variability for your survival, so that your organization can fulfill its vision and also meet the customer requirements. Now, having understood these dimensions of the importance of management, the scope of management, the meaning of management, productivity and the effectiveness, now let us look at what is the nature of management. Now, is management a science or an art or a profession? Now, what are the characteristics of being a science, an art or a profession? Science is basically an organized or systematized body of knowledge pertaining to specific field of inquiry. Now, it is any subject which is scientifically developed and consists of universally accepted principles is a science. Now, for example, we talk about Newton's principle of motion, or whichever the physics or chemistry or whichever the scientific body of knowledge you talk about, you take the principles there, they are applied universally, right. Now, the third law of Newton's motion is that anything that is thrown will come back to you at the same speed. Now, this is universally applicable, whether you do it in America or you do it in Britain or in India, it is universally accepted. It follows the same principle. Therefore, it is a science. Now, what is an art? Art is the application of knowledge and personal skills to achieve certain results. It refers to the way of doing specific things. Now, when you talk about art, it does not have to be following the same kind of a pattern that a principle like in science. Now, it is very, very individual specific maybe, and therefore it does not have the same kind of the checking or the testability of these principles like it is in science. Now, profession is an occupation for which specialized knowledge, skills and training are required. These skills are to be used for larger interests of the society, and the success of these skills is not measured in terms of money alone all the time. Now, let us talk about maybe legal profession. We talk about legal profession or medical profession, because these are the occupations where you require as a doctor specialized knowledge. You need to have certain skills and you will be trained as to how you perform or practice your profession. And a doctor, apart from the monetary gains that he makes, basically works in the larger interest of the society. He cures people who are sick so that the people can get well and they can live happily. Now, therefore, the success of a doctor need not always be measured in terms of how much of money he makes. Medical profession is one such profession. Now, the question is management education a science, or is it an art, or is it a profession? Now, going by the characteristics of the profession or the education of management, now let us examine this, whether it stands the scrutiny of being an art or a science or a profession. Now, first let us examine whether management is an art. Now, what are the characteristics of being an art? It uses a certain amount of knowledge and skills. There is a certain amount of creativity. And art has a lot of personalization, and it requires continuous practice. Now, from the management perspective, management involves application of managerial principles and concepts and theories under different conditions while performing managerial functions. Therefore, the management as an art fully satisfies the first characteristic of using of knowledge and skills. Now, is there creativity in this? Yes, management combines human and non-human resources creatively to achieve organizational goals and results. Now, while doing so, each manager has his own creativity so that he or she is able to attain the goals. Now, managers are responsible for modifying the behavior and attitude of their team members as per requirements of their organizational context. Now, while doing so, there is no fixed formula. Each manager uses his own creativity so that he is able to navigate through the required changes in the organization. Therefore, the management education also qualifies for the second characteristic of being a creative art. Now, management is a profession where each manager creates his own style. It is highly personalized. It depends on the knowledge, experience, and the context in which the manager is working. Now, managers can learn the art of managing through the process of trial and error. Even the same manager, from the beginning of his career, as he navigates through his own career path, he keeps changing. Therefore, you keep on evolving through your own continuous process of learning. Therefore, you will create your own style, and also you will continuously learn through your practice and evolve to be a meta manager. And hence, the personalization and continuous practice also are satisfied as a part of the characteristic of being an art. And hence, we can say that management to a large extent satisfies to be an art. Now, let us look at whether management can also satisfy the characteristics of the features of being a science. Now, what are the essential features of science? First, it should be a systematized body of knowledge. Whether the management profession has systematized body of knowledge? Yes, by and large there are a lot of areas within the domain of management where the knowledge is systematized, and therefore this condition is, or characteristic is, satisfied. The second is, it is developed through scientific experiments and processes. Now, managerial theories today are tested scientifically using various tools and techniques, and therefore as a body of knowledge, management also has certain scientific experiments and processes which are conducted and validated from time to time. Now, the third principle is of science is, it establishes a cause and effect relationship between various factors. Whether this is satisfied as far as management is concerned? Yes, it is satisfied, because certain cause and effect relationships can be established in many of these management theories, and therefore it leads to certain amount of predictability. For example, if the price of a product goes up, by and large the demand for the product comes down. The cause and effect relationship is very, very clear. So, similar kind of principles can also be seen to be tested and validated in the case of management theories. The validity of scientific principles can be tested at any time. Likewise, the management principles can also be tested. Certain management principles can be tested at any time and at different places. Now, for example, employee satisfaction, customer satisfaction, there are lots of studies made and tested across different places, and these are quite frequently validated. Therefore, management also satisfies the scrutiny of being a matter of science. Now, the scientific principles have universal applicability without any limitations. Similarly, management also is universally applicable. The only difference is all management principles, though they are universally applicable, the results are contextual. Therefore, management, although qualifies to be a science, it is more of a social science than in like any other scientific body of knowledge. How far is management a profession? As we discussed, we have said that medical field is a profession, legal field is a profession. Now, likewise, you have chartered accountancy, cost accountancy, these are all professions. Now, why are these called professions? Because the profession will have a certain set of characteristics. If management also satisfies these characteristics, then we can call this also as a profession. Now, what are these characteristics and to what extent the field of management satisfies them? First characteristic is a profession should have well defined body of knowledge. Now, whether management education has a well defined body of knowledge? Yes, indeed, management has a well defined body of knowledge, and the literature in the field of management has been continuously growing and growing. There are more number of tools and techniques that have been developed over a period of time. All this helps the managers in making good decisions in their organizational context. Therefore, the first characteristic of having well defined body of knowledge is very satisfied as far as management is concerned. Now, the second requirement of a profession is there must be a formal education and training system. Now, management, as you all know, has a very well developed formal education and training system. There are a number of institutes, colleges, universities, specialized training institutions where formal educational programs and training programs are offered in the field of management. Therefore, this condition is fully satisfied. Now, there is the third condition is there must be a minimum qualification for entry into the organizations. For instance, if you are wanting to be a doctor, to be appointed as a doctor in a hospital, the entry requirement is you must be a graduate in medicine. If you want to practice the profession of legal profession, you must have the legal degree. Similarly, for a manager, the entry requirement is either you must have a diploma or a degree or a post graduation. Therefore, there is a requirement of a formal degree or a diploma, and these degrees and diplomas are offered through formal education system in a university or an institution. The fourth requirement is a professional body. This is something which is important, and this is an area where the managers still do not have a legally recognized professional body. For instance, for chartered accountants, there is a professional body which is recognized, which is legal at the national level. For the company secretaries, there is a body which is recognized at national level. For all doctors, they must be members of the Indian Medical Association, which is a regulating body and is a legally established body. Unlike these bodies, the management managers per se do not have a legally established body or an association. There are several management associations, but these are all societies which are formed by some people which do not have the legal sanctity. The next requirement is that a profession should have service above self. Now, a doctor should be serving the society which is much beyond his self. This is neglected as far as the management profession is concerned. As a result, what is happening is today there are some managers who are indulging in accumulation of personal wealth even at the cost of their organization, or sometimes even at the cost of the society. Now, therefore, this condition is also not fully met as management as a profession. Now, the next requirement is ethical code of conduct. There is no universal code of conduct for managers. Now, we all know, if you are a doctor, before you graduate, you have to take a oath as a doctor. Similar kind of a thing is not there. The ethical code of conduct is not universally followed in the profession of management. Therefore, as we can see it, the management as a profession satisfies some of the characteristics of a profession, while some are not fully satisfied, and hence we can conclude that management is, by and large, it has all the characteristics of being an art. It follows certain scientific principles and therefore can be said to be partly scientific, and it also has certain characteristics of a profession, and hence overall we can conclude that management is a science, an art, and also a profession in its own way. Now, let us now look at what is the universality of management. When you talk about universality, it is basically talking about one size fits all. Whether management fits all the societies, all the contexts, all the organizations, in all the sectors, yes, management is a universal phenomenon. Whether you are working for a rural organization, whether you are working for an urban organization, whether you are working for a local company or you are working for a multinational company, the principles of management, the essential elements of managing an organization remain the same for all the enterprises, which basically means let us understand what are its implications. The implication number one is managerial skills are transferable from one person to another, which means as a management teacher, I can train all my students to be good managers. These skills are transferable, these skills are trainable, therefore managers can be developed, managers can be trained. The second, manager skills can be transferred from one organization to another organization. If there are some good managerial practices which are followed by one organization, which makes it a successful organization, other organizations can benchmark, practice and imbibe and cultivate those practices in their organization. Therefore, managerial skills are transferable from one organization to the other organization. The third, managerial skills can be imported or exported from one country to the other, which also means when you are talking about an organization being set up in multiple countries, you can bring the best of the practices from other country to your country, which is importing the best practice from that country to your own country, and similarly you can also export your best practices from your country to the other country, which also means that the skills can also be transferred across the boundaries. The fourth principle is that it serves as the basis of general theory of management. That means it has all the common principles. So, whether the management is universal, yes, the management is universal, but it is situation specific and it is universal across all the levels and in all the functions. Now, we have completed the first part of the first unit. We will go to the next part in the next session. Till then, thank you, and if you would like to contact me, my email ID is provided there. You are welcome to contact me.